Hey everybody, I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first 6 issues of Birds of Prey from Volume 1, written by Chuck Dixon, illustrated by Greg Land, and inked by Drew Geraci. The series at this point is focusing on the two main protagonists being Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, and Dinah Lance, aka Black Canary. And the series at this point is more of a globe-trotting /spy / espionage adventure title, which is by no means a deterrent. It's really great stuff, especially this first volume, which is actually going to be recollected by DC at some point in 2016. I believe the title is going to be Birds of Prey by Chuck Dixon Volume 1, and I do hope that they collect the entire 127 issue run of the title, which is all the way from Chuck Dixon's run through Gail Simone's, and then Tony Bedard comes on after Gail Simone leaves the title with issue 108. So the story starts out with Black Canary being sent to Malaysia to perform a reconnaissance mission by Oracle, and to keep tabs on a certain criminal by the name of Jackie Pajamas, who's a pretty nefarious character with a lot of cash to throw around. And unfortunately for the residents and the holidaymakers in Malaysia, it's not the island paradise that it appears to be. There's a dark underbelly which is running through the country's underground, and this is actually explored during the first volume of Birds of Prey, which is 2 3-issue mini arcs collected into one volume. I have to say that the artwork in this by Greg Land and the inks by Drew Geraci are all really well done. It's cartoony, but it's sort of semi-realistic at the same time, and the action scenes in particular are really well done, especially when we see Black Canary kicking a fair amount of bad guy ass during this first volume. So Canary seemingly gets caught by Jackie Pajama's stooges while she's doing a bit of espionage and trying to find out exactly what Jackie Pajamas is up to. And as it turns out, not everyone is as they seem. Canary actually meets Jason Bard, who is posing as a criminal, but he's actually a private investigator, and surprisingly, he's actually Barbara Gordon's former fiancé, and we find out later on in the series why they broke up and why Barbara hasn't been in contact with him, and for her own personal reasons, but I'll get to that when I get to the later story arcs at a later date. So Dinah and Bard get caught and seemingly sort of forced into slave labour, but not before Jason Bard actually manages to save Dinah's life from a bullet, but unfortunately in the ensuing muzzle flash from the gun being fired, he winds up being blinded. So even though he's blind, Dinah and Bard plan to make their getaway from the compound, which they find themselves, as I've said, forced to perform slave labour in on the parts of their kidnappers. Turns out that Jackie Pajamas actually runs a kidnapping and a slave worker ring at the same time, and he actually forces the families of his captured kidnappees to actually pay for their continued existence, and they send them proof in forms of photographs, videotapes, etc. And they actually have a pretty grisly fate for troublemakers or attempted escapees. They actually sever one of their fingers, and they actually get kept in, I imagine, pickled jars, which is just absolutely disgusting. And anyway, there's a pretty awesome moment for Oracle when she actually manages to pay a ransom of $1 million for Black Canary's continued existence, but she actually takes the money out of one Roland Desmond, who is actually the second blockbuster, and suffice it to say, Mr. Desmond is none too pleased that $1 million has gone missing out of his bank account. So in the ensuing sort of chaos on the island, Black Canary and Bard manage to make their escape into the jungle, and once again there's more really great ass-kicking scenes with Black Canary going up against Hellhound, who's kind of this mercenary with a pair of Rottweilers, and even Jason Bard manages to get a hero moment in by scaring the Rottweilers off by laying down a bit of suppressing gunfire just before the dogs manage to get anywhere near him. At the same time, while all this is going on, the US Marines manage to arrive at the island, and justice is delved out to everybody involved in the criminal activities on the island. In the next arc, we're introduced to the Ravens, who are a trio of female mercenaries who are on a mission to eliminate a high-ranking member of Cobra, which is an international crime organization which has designs on a decommissioned and forgotten about Russian satellite from 20 years ago. And we find out that the Ravens are actually comprised of Cheshire, Pistorella and Vicious, and we find out a bit more about this team later on, and we get some really fun banter between all of them, especially when they wind up running afoul of this decommissioned Russian satellite. There's also some really fun banter between Dinah and Babs regarding Nightwing, or Dick Grayson of all people, especially when Dinah asks Babs if she can set her up with Nightwing, and suffice it to say, given their past together and her feelings for him, Babs is none too pleased being asked by Black Canary to set her up with Nightwing. So there's some really great banter and a really great reaction from Oracle when she's asked that particular question. Unluckily for Dinah, or seemingly unlucky you would think, she actually goes swimming with a Loch Ness monster of some sort while on vacation in Minnesota. But there's a bit more to this creature than meets the eye, and he actually comes back into play later on in the story. So the Ravens go after this Russian satellite, but unbeknownst to them, it's actually located on an island which is near a time warp in the space-time continuum, and they wind up going back to millions of years ago with cavemen and mammoths to boot, and also lions. So they have to contend with the wildlife as well as cavemen at the same time. There's another great moment for Oracle when she finds out, or she actually tells Batman up front, "I know you've been spying on me," when Bruce Wayne, it turns out, actually has cameras installed in Oracle's inner sanctum, seemingly just to check if she's okay, just to check if she's stable after everything that's happened. But she even says to him, "Look, I already know you've been spying on me, and it stops now," and she pretty much owns him, which again is another really awesome moment for Oracle. Once again, speaking of more awesome moments, it seems that her inner sanctum is about to be breached by the United States Air Force, as there's a knock at the window, but as it turns out, they actually get misdirected to Blockbuster's own home, and Oracle must have rerouted a signal which he uses to broadcast and give Black Canary, her orders, and do seemingly pretty awesome bank transfers, even if it's taking money out of bad guys' accounts. So she must have rerouted a signal and put it through Mr. Desmond's routers and servers. So he's actually the victim of a home invasion by the United States Air Force, which is a really, really cool moment once again for Oracle. At the same time, Cobra's interests in the decommissioned Russian satellite are brought to light, but they're also thwarted, as I've said, by an unlikely ally, and I'll let you guys read this first volume of Birds of Prey to find out exactly what I mean by that. The Ravens actually miss the trip back to the 21st century by a long shot, and they come into play later on down the road in a later storyline. I have to say, the writing and the storytelling and the dialogue in Chuck Dixon in this first volume is really stellar. It's absolutely great stuff, and there's some genuine laugh out loud funny moments, there's some great moments, there's some sort of tense moments. There's pretty much a lot of really great writing going on here from Chuck Dixon, complemented really well by Greg Land's artwork, which is really well done in my humble opinion, along with the inks by Drew Garrity. If you're a fan of female heroines, if you're a fan of female superhero teams, if you're a fan of spy, espionage, adventure titles from DC Comics, or if you're looking for a exclusively female superhero title to read, I cannot recommend this first volume of Birds of Prey highly enough. It's great stuff, and I cannot wait to read and review more for you guys. As always, thank you everybody for watching. By all means, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, rate the video up or down, and if this is your first time viewing one of my videos, and if you'd like to see more from me in the foreseeable future, by all means, please feel free to click the subscribe button. And until next time, this is Gambit896 signing off, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.